Salutations and felicitations, everyone. This is my day 5 impressions of Fire Emblem Echoes Shadows of Valentia. So right away, I like the 3 new characters that you're introduced to on Celica's path: Leon, Valbar, and Kamui. I really like them. I was able to get a support conversation with Leon and Kamui. I really like the relationship and the chemistry they have going on there, talking about what is the ideal man, the perfect man, something along those lines. It was pretty funny, pretty interesting. I really liked it. I actually really enjoy Leon's character. He is one of those characters that just kind of, he pops right as you see him, makes an impression. Where there hasn't been a huge amount of that so far. I know I commented on that earlier. So it's nice to see that there are some more flamboyant characters, like with Claire, as I mentioned earlier, and now with Leon. Obviously, I hope there's something a little more substantial to him than just the flair, and so far things look pretty good with what I've been able to accomplish with the limited time that I've been playing with him. Let me see. Yes. In these battles, by the way, Cantor, at least at this stage in the game, being on a pile of supplies is an absolute pain in the rear end to defeat. Yeah, not fun. I don't know if it's always going to be like that, but wow, supplies are kind of having a Cantor or other characters on supplies is at least a kind of semi-decent way of evening out the playing field a little bit, because so far everything's been a little bit too easy. But with the supplies, sometimes it makes it a little bit annoying, at least at this stage. Again, maybe once characters level up, they'll be have a higher hit ratio. But right now, presenting a bit of a challenge, being on those supplies, most specifically the Cantors. And as it was alluded to earlier in the game about a gentleman who lost his family to the pirates, it turns out that it was Valbar, and Valbar gets to have his revenge against Pirate Bart, I think is his name? Dread Pirate Roberts. He gets to have his vengeance. He gets to avenge his family. He kind of doesn't know what to do next. I really kind of hope they develop his character more, which we're given the opportunity, because he's kind of like, well, my family's dead. I killed the man who killed my family. Now what do I do? Well, these people helped me, so I might as well fight with them. So I like to see what avenues they pursue with Valbar's character now that he has joined Celica's forces. Let me see. Yes. Talking about the last edition, Kamui, him talking about how he was terrified of necro dragons was a very nice little piece of character development there that I really appreciated. It was humorous, it was funny, it added some depth and character to character. Sorry about that. A character who so far it just seems very, I guess you could say, I hate to use the term cardboard, and I don't mean that in a negative way like most people do. Oh, they're just they're just cardboard, if I could speak, cardboard cutouts. It's just, it doesn't seem like there's a lot to him, and hopefully little scenes like this will help flesh out his character a little more, make him seem a little less like, kind of the strong, silent type a little bit. Of course, obviously, it's not to the level of Long Ku in Awakening. Long Ku was the extreme of the strong, silent type, but there was a reason for that, and they eventually got around to that, although they kind of touched on it a little bit, whereas with Kamui, there's not that interesting hook of being afraid of women or anything like that, but I'm interested to see where they go with Kamui. Let me see. Yes! Coming across in that cave, I believe it was a cave, the fountains, or what are they called? I think they're called springs. The XP spring, XP fountain. Wow, those things are bonkers. I love it. You get to level up a character a whole level, and they keep their XP, which is awesome. So, if you had a character who was at level 99 XP, they would still go up a level, and their XP would still be at 99, so they're about to turn to another level. Yeah, I could kind of see that breaking the game a little bit if they had too many of those, which they probably don't. But it helped with my upping the levels for villagers, so that was really nice. Yeah, I hope to run into some more of those for some of my lower level characters. Let me see. Speaking of support conversations, we get another man, Bowie. And as opposed to being so humorous this time, it becomes very obvious that May has feelings for Bowie. And this leads me to wonder, it is well known that Shadows of Valentia does not have relationships, at least to the point where characters can get married. You can't go and have that relationship status. In fact, relationships period, or support conversations, I should say, are very different, very weird in Valentia. And I understand that part of that probably has to do with the fact that this is a remake of an old game. I don't even know if the original Fire Emblem Gaiden had relationships. But this is a bit of an old game. There's probably a certain narrative that they had. Like maybe they did have romance in Gaiden, but it was just, this is just the way it was. So this is kind of a way to still have supports from Awakening and from Fates, but yet, still be true to the story of Fire Emblem Gaiden. So I'm interested to see where they go with this. Obviously it's that, May likes Bowie. There's other things where Alm likes Celica, and obviously Clive is in love with this Matilda lady. There's some obvious chemistry that the game is already setting in place. So I'm just wondering, is this the sort of thing where, is the game going to address that? Are they going to say, oh, okay, these characters, at the end of the game, are they like, oh, these characters are getting married, they got married, stuff like that, extrapolate upon them a little bit. As, Fire Emblem games are wont to do, they have those little credits explanation scenes, which I thoroughly enjoy. So I'm just wondering, I hope they really do something, because I really like the relationships and trying to match up the right people and stuff like that. That's a nice little nuance to Fire Emblem, and it's not essential, but far as it pertains to the romance, I hope they get it right. We'll wait and see. I sincerely hope that for the next Fire Emblem game, it goes back to the Awakening of Fates system, because another thing with Echoes is that, well, let me comment on that. Sometimes with Awakening and Fates, it can get a bit ridiculous with the marriage supports, because it's just like, hey, the first 3 supports, we're talking about silly stuff, and hey, let's get married. Yeah, it's not that they're perfect. I really wish for to stop these forced marriages, or whatever you want to call them. These marriages that have no real chemistry in them. But definitely, there's no way to look at your supports and Fates, and also there seems to be, it's like, and this is something that's always annoyed me with Fire Emblem, from playing Awakening. It's like, why can't everyone have a support conversation with another person? It's not like certain people, if they don't work longer, don't get to know each other better. That just, we all work in places. We get to know each other better. That's real life. Maybe it only goes so far, or it only does certain things, but there should at least be, levels for anyone. And with Fates, it feels more like, oh, well, it's only these, like, 2 or 3 people you can build a support with, unless you're Alm or Celica. So yeah, that's kind of a bit of a bummer. But all in all, I'm still liking how they're approaching it and how this is different. And one last bit, story note, that villagers have said that there's been a change in Emperor Rudolph, the Emperor of Rigel, which leads me to believe, especially in light of what I'm ending this video on, the video where Jeddah, the evil purple head priest guy, summons what appears to be a giant eyeball, and he calls it Lord Duma. I don't know about you, but I don't think that's Lord Duma, which makes me think that something happened to Emperor Rudolph. And yeah, it's been being manipulated by this Duma imposter or whatever. Or maybe Duma's become corrupted. I don't know. We'll see where it goes. But yeah, so far pretty interesting. Now we're getting, I'm getting firmly into the game. Looking forward to see what is in store for the future. But those are my thoughts. Trying to keep it a little bit shorter. Did about just as long because I went on about relationships, but I like those relationships in Fire Emblem. Go ahead and let me know what you thought about it. This is the OutcastWriter signing off. And remember, what we create matters. Oh, hey.